Cody Rhodes is reportedly not the priority for WrestleMania 40. We've got an update on Bianca Belair's WWE return, and a major match is set for AEW WrestleDream. Stay tuned for all the deets. So kicking things off straight into it with the news that Cody Rhodes is reportedly not the priority heading into WrestleMania 40. Now, it's a lot of people obviously were just in the mindset we all were. We were all caught up in the fever. Cody Rhodes is going to win. Cody's going to have his moment. Cody's going to defeat Roman. Rubber chicken.
Cody's going to finish the story.
And it kind of, it all came to that grinding halt. And it was like, okay, well, maybe next year we'll do a whole redemption thing. Cody's got to build back all this momentum. And then finally, The Rock showed up. And that has kind of put a spanner in the works. So apparently there's been renewed speculation and interest around a WrestleMania match between The Rock and Roman Reigns. And this is all kind of being fueled a little bit further by the Wrestling Observer newsletter, with Dave Meltzer stating, Reigns versus Rock will always be the priority for WrestleMania. Rhodes got the spot in Los Angeles because Johnson pulled out. The irony is that Rhodes' storyline of the quest for the original WWF title lineage that his father never won could have taken place at the 2024 WrestleMania until The Rock showed up. It's once again dependent, though, on The Rock's schedule and decisions made by The Rock. Any number of things could pop up. The guy is, on top of being an actor, obviously still sometimes somewhat a performer in or around WWE, not even in ring. And at the same time, he's like an entrepreneur. He's got loads of stuff going on.
He owns the XFL now.
Yeah, he's got Zoa Energy. He's got like loads of things.
He's Terramana.
Yeah.
Tequila. The Rock is like a walking advert. But it's
walking
a
like a NASCAR driver soon enough.
Exactly. It's a shame that Cody's whole quest, the finish the story, the adversity that he's going to face, or the planned adversity, leading into the next year, WrestleMania, it might be on the back burner a little bit with him not being the priority. It's interesting that The Rock, obviously, it's The Rock. He's going to be the priority.
This is the thing, right? Is from the get-go, the Bloodline storyline is centered around Roman making such a very big deal about the fact that he is the provider for his entire family, for his entire bloodline.
Yep.
He's the one that's getting, everybody food for their table, their families, that, he's making sure everybody's okay. He's the one who's providing for everybody in that family. He's the biggest deal. He's the big dog without calling himself the big dog anymore. But, there's always been the giant specter on the horizon, which is Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, who is the biggest star in the world.
He's one of the highest paid actors of all time.
Yeah.
And I think it's the whole story.
The natural point is them two kind of clashing, right? Because it's ultimately who is going to be the tribal chief.
Yeah, the head of the table, the head of the family. And it's an interesting story that I personally feel doesn't need the titles. It doesn't need those belts to be on Reigns.
What I always thought was maybe Roman could lose the belt, have a bit of a punished Okada moment where he starts losing control and he starts getting very, very aggressively, out there, and it's another side to Roman we've not seen, and then it's The Rock who has to come in and sort of put him out of his misery.
It would be an
now
interesting
it feels
dynamic.
like this is going to be very much for the title.
And it kind of sucks. Cody Rhodes coming back to WWE last year, he's instantly become one of the top WWE stars. The reactions, I couldn't believe it at Money in the Bank, the reactions that he got were some of the loudest. It was him and LA Knight. So the fact that he's not the priority right now, or isn't the priority, and it's all dependent on The Rock. We've seen that this past year. Obviously, The Rock didn't do it, but that when The Rock says yes.
Yeah. Well, the report kind of gave a little bit more insight into The Rock's decision to not do the match at this year's Mania, as it states that he didn't want to have a match and be carried through it. He wanted to have a WrestleMania caliber main event, but he didn't have enough time to train for it. And it continued by saying that at the time, the word was he was open, if the schedule permitted, to do the match next year in Philadelphia. And this is something we've heard before from many talents, right? Shawn Michaels originally around WrestleMania 32. He was just coming back for that one little coming down to the ring spot with Foley and Austin, but even he was sort of panicking, like, I've got to get into ring shape, I've got to look like the Shawn Michaels that people remember. And it's the same for The Rock, right? He might look incredible, he might be bigger than ever, but at the same time he's got to get back into ring shape, he's got to get back and familiar with all of this stuff. So it's understandable as to why he'd maybe want to provide the people The Rock they remember rather than Dwayne Johnson playing The Rock.
I also think that this ongoing writers and actors strike will have a lot of influence over what he does over the next few months. If this strike continues to go on, I think we're going to see The Rock maybe come back and do some more stuff.
Unless
in WWE.
he wants to go work for A24 and do some really niche films, because they've agreed to the new deal,
I would love
they?
to see some A24 stuff with The Rock.
Because they're able to promote the Von Erich film. But at the end of the day, you talk about Cody finishing the story. How can you finish the story when the story never ends? But keeping it with The Rock, some rather of left field news, out of left field kind of comments on The Rock's return here.
Yeah, a man who will, unlike The Rock, will likely never get back into ring shape. It's Hulk Hogan.
What are you on about? He's never not been in ring shape, brother.
Those pythons,
24 inches.
Massive. Speaking of Sports Illustrated, Hulk Hogan has said that he is confident we will see an in-ring return from The Rock.
And water's wet and the sky is blue and sometimes grey. And
exactly.
the grass is green.
Exactly. But he says that The Rock still has wrestling in his blood. Again, it's the bloodline. We're getting Hogan's up to date on all the storylines.
Hogan's actually secretly a member of the family. You just don't know it yet, brother.
He is. They're all cousins. And then he says that The Rock is in great shape. Even though he hasn't wrestled in a while, if he goes out there, The Rock is going to tear tear that place down. Obviously, they had a very high-profile match, WrestleMania 18.
Yeah,
match of the night, probably.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was the icon versus icon match. It will be burned into my brain forever. I remember sitting inches from the TV screen, just absorbing it with my eyes and worsening my already bad eyesight. But just the fact that electric atmosphere going into that, The Rock was the babyface, Hogan was the heel, and then it just flipped on a penny with that absolutely energetic crowd. And that's the power that a Rock match has the ability to bring, right? And I remember being at WrestleMania 32 again, right, to bring up WrestleMania 32, when The Rock came out after the ladies and gentlemen, the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, and everybody was like, it's been 4 hours, quickly nip to the concourse, and then his music hit.
If you're so
and it was like nothing I've seen before, that response. It was absolutely wild. So yeah, it's a no-brainer. Like, if Rock gets back in that ring, it's going to be one for the ages, right, in terms of response.
Absolutely, and hopefully we don't see Hulk Hogan back in the ring at all.
His back's made of dreams at this point. I don't think he's getting anywhere near the ring. But moving on, we're going to look toward Elimination Chamber in Australia now. WWE have, of course, just recently announced that Elimination Chamber is going to be hosted in Perth, Western Australia, next year. It's been revealed by the Wrestling Observer that WWE will air the show in prime time in Australia, meaning a start time in the United States of around 6 a.m. Eastern Time, 3 a.m. Pacific, and this would be 10 a.m. in the UK.
So, right,
cheeky jaunt to Greg's, breakfast baguette. Get on the wrestling.
Saturday morning, you and me in here. We've got the wrestling.
We'll be doing news at like 6, and then we'll be doing live coverage, I imagine.
It'll be fantastic. And finally, not to have a word against the United States viewers, but you're going to finally experience what it's like to be us.
No, because I mean, maybe if you're on the West Coast, you finally get the British experience. Yeah. But I mean, it's just going to be a hell of a show anyway. I can't wait to see what an Australian crowd's going to be like for Rhea, especially. Oh my God.
Rhea, you've got Bronson, you've got Grayson. Like Grayson Waller, I think the pop will be great. Rhea Ripley, pop will be great.
There's one little interesting fact here as well. The report notes that Peacock apparently these days doesn't care as much about the live viewers of WWE's pay-per-view shows. They're more concerned about how many people are watching it in the first 24 hours. I think this is just naturally indicative of how media's moving in general. Yeah. When I was leaving uni and we were starting to get into Sky Plus age and stuff, and everybody was getting that and DVRs and everything, it became about +3s and +7s, like how many people are watching it live, how many people are watching it within the first 3 days, how many people are watching it within the week, and then that's all kind of total to give you an average. So I think now that everything's on demand, it's surely just going to be, how much is it going to do in the first day, how much is it going to do in the first week, the first month, right?
Yeah, right. And people's lives are busy, they can't always watch a show live, so being able to watch it the next day, that's my preferred way of watching a lot of shows, because I can't stay up that late and I get too tired. So it's nice to see that they don't really care so much about it, because maybe at some point we'll get WrestleMania over here and then the whole time zone thing won't be an issue, and it looks like it's not.
Just run it here every year. Newcastle upon Tyne, St James's Park, it's perfect for it. But moving to last night's SmackDown, we had a return, didn't we, Fraser?
We did indeed. Last night's SmackDown saw the return of Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, my gals from Scotland. I'm very excited to see them back on TV. They've not been on TV for quite some time. It feels like they've really had been forgotten about in that tag team division, but they appeared in a vignette taking
sort of feel like the
responsibility.
Twilight Zone, that division at points,
It
doesn't it?
does a little bit.
Yeah.
Like they just get lost.
You go through the curtain and then you just kind of re-emerge at a different point.
It's done. Yeah. So, well, they're back. They did this vignette taking responsibility for all the issues facing the women's tag team titles recently. They showed images of Sonya Deville, Liv Morgan, Shayna Baszler, and Piper Niven, all sort of in pain and being like, whose curse could have done this? It was us, the spooky witches.
I was going to say Mei Ying. I want to see Mei Ying back, but at the same time, it would just kind of ruin what's going on.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited to see what this tag team can do. I think they really need to have some more tag teams in that division, and this is a really good team that's got a lot of chemistry.
We've been saying this for so long, but it's not just the chemistry in terms of the presentation. It's all great, and I think that it's just the way they work together as a cohesive unit from the entertainment side of it through to the actual in-ring work. If we can get everybody up to that level of kind of gelling well, I think that there's the bright future there, just waiting to be snatched for that division. But
there's something.
It's just give it time, please, for the love of God. We've been screaming about this for ages,
for a long time. But I'm excited to see my Scottish gals on TV. Come on, up to Scotland.
And not quite a return yet, but we've got an update on Bianca Belair's potential WWE return. Of course, she's taken some time off following a very long run.
She had an incredible run as champion, and then after she lost the belt, sticking around and keeping that division strong.
Yeah, and so taking a bit of a well-earned break there, but according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Belair is set to return to SmackDown in December as she's advertised for tapings that month. So we've not got that long to wait for Bianca.
Not much longer. Hopefully she'll get put back right in that spotlight. I think obviously she will, but the women's division.
Maybe a big shock return. A big shock return would be nice.
Something like that we've not heard about.
Yeah.
Here she is on SmackDown. We don't want to have.
She turns up last week in November instead of December. There we go.
That would be crazy.
But then moving over to the other side of the fence to close this one out, looking ahead to AEW WrestleDream, now announced on last night's Rampage Grand Slam. Apparently, we're going to get Omega, Jericho, and Kota Ibushi versus Sammy Guevara, Konosuke Takeshita, and a mystery partner at next week's AEW WrestleDream. This comes after Omega saved Jericho from attack from Guevara and Takeshita. After this, Alex Marvez approached Jericho and Omega backstage, who then issued the challenge to Callis's group. So
yeah, I'm actually quite excited to see the dynamic between Jericho and Omega. Obviously, it's been a sort of like a long-standing feud between the two of them. We've had matches in the past in New Japan, in AEW. I'm excited to see them team together alongside Kota Ibushi. Great to see him back.
Who do you think mystery partner's going to be?
I've been trying to wrap my brain around that one. I'm really struggling to come up with even a single name.
For me, there's only one person it can be, and Callis is going to have to reach way, way deep into the past to pull this name out. Go back to the time of the Jackal. I want Kurgan. I want Kurgan.
I was really worried you were going to say Goldberg.
Goldberg, no. Kurgan, come on.
That would be an interesting
all of his Hollywood stunt work. Imagine what he's capable of now.
He'd be all over the place.
Yeah, and he's like 9 feet tall.
Yeah, that would look great in the ring.
Stand on Omega and win.
I do think though,
it'd be like the Iron Giant, just smooshing people,
smooshing them down. I think it might be Suzuki.
I think Suzuki would be a hell of a shout
because he's got the dynamic with Jericho already, and we had a little bit of drama between him, Guevara. It's there.
A lot of buzz coming off the DDT Bullet Train match as well. So
exactly.
I think just more Suzuki in any regard is the best. So that is it for your second dose of lovely bumper weekend wrestling news. Stick with us. We may have some more news later if anything further breaks throughout the day. But in the meantime, check out the podcast. We've got a load of stuff coming up over the weekend on the channel starting this evening. So do keep your eyes peeled. Have a lovely weekend. I hope the weather's better than it is here wherever you are. Let us know below. What's it like? Yeah. Tatty bye.